What is up, friends? Thought of the day, number 18. It's been a while since I did a video in English. It's been pretty busy weeks. A lot going on. Some traveling for seminars. Some very exciting stuff. And I thought I would take a bit of time here while it's fresh on my mind. I've been working on translating into English. Translating my the respiratory training program that I put out a few weeks ago. Respiratory training program with the Breathe Way Better. So I launched that in July with about 20 people as a beta program, and they ran through half of it. And by the time they were on, week 5 and everything was rolling well, I decided to release it. So it's out now, but in French. So I thought, hey, let's make it more accessible and translate that. So I'm almost done. Should be done tomorrow. Pretty excited about that. So I want to, while I've been thinking about it and translating the program, I wanted to talk about it, but talk about respiratory training in a broader sense, because I think that it's still something that is underappreciated, underutilized, underleveraged, and that is an interesting aspect of athletic development to not just leave aside. Where to start? So first, I guess I'll talk about the program itself. What I did is essentially categorized the training with the Breathe Way Better, with the device itself, categorized into 4 distinct classes, the types of training that we were going to do, or I guess the focus of the different sessions. There's going to be some, and for those who don't know what the Breathe Way Better is, it's an isocapnic respiratory training device. So it allows you to work specifically on volume and coordination of breathing while maintaining an isocapnic state, meaning that if you hyperventilate at rest, say if you blow on a fire, you go dizzy after 20 seconds because your CO2 levels have dropped significantly, given that your body's at rest, so it's not producing a lot, and you've been breathing out a lot of CO2, right? So that's why you get the spins if you blow on a fire for too long. Same thing with the respiratory training device that doesn't have that feature. If you just breathe hard into a device for 20, 30 seconds, but you don't have a way to control those CO2 levels, CO2 level is going to drop. You're going to go dizzy. You're going to have to either slow down or stop the exercise. So this device allows you to maintain your CO2 by simply rebreathing it, right? So you breathe out into the bag, and then you rebreathe most of your CO2, meaning that you keep that balance internally, and you can breathe that way for an extended period of time. And if you get dizzy, you can simply take a couple breaths through your nose, breathe out it back into the bag, you get some fresh air, and you're good to go. So it allows you to uninterruptedly train your respiratory system in different ways. So the different ways that I've decided to tackle that with is, one, there's some technique-focused, volume-focused sessions. So the goal is going to be maximum range of motion, using the diaphragm as best as we can. Just sound breathing mechanics is really the goal of those sessions, and then really maximizing the volume with each breath, trying to get as much air in, trying to blow all the air out. So frequency is pretty low. The sets are pretty short because it's really technique focused. We want high quality work. And so that's the first type of session you're going to encounter in the program. There's also some coordination sessions, so split up between the respiratory coordination test that was devised by Luke Way, who invented the Breathe Way Better. And so it's essentially a step test. So you start at 15 breaths a minute, you breathe that way for 1 minute, and then you go up each minute, you go up by 3 breaths per minute. So you're doing 15, 18, 21, 24, etc., until you can no longer maintain good technique and coordination of breathing. And that gives you your score, your max value. And then some of the other sessions are going to be based on a percentage of said max score. And we're going to revisit every 2 weeks. You do the test again. It serves as much as a test as a training session itself. And the idea is to be able to see the progress, feel the progress throughout the 10-week program, and also reassess your max frequency on this test to calibrate future sessions. And so that's usually what we'll do. So we'll either have a test or a coordination session, and the coordination happens at a given percentage of the score that you reach on the test. Later in the program, I believe week 3 or 4, we have endurance sessions that start coming in. So those have longer sets. Frequency is fairly low, not as low as for the volume sessions, kind of in between. But we're going to breathe for extended periods of time. The goal is really just endurance of the respiratory apparatus. And that's interesting in and of itself. And we also have expiratory power sessions. So on those, we're going to play with the ratio of inhale to exhale, or the tempo of inhale to exhale. And then that's going to allow us to kind of bias the work towards the exhalation part. So that's kind of the 4 types of sessions we're going to explore over that 10-week introductory program. And in parallel to this, what I did is that each week you have an exercise. So those are the Breathe Way Better specific exercises. And then you have, or training, and then you have exercises each week, or a theme each week, that you're going to explore in your training or warm-ups or cool-downs, depending on which one we're doing that week. The idea is that you get out of this 10-week program with a really good overall understanding of how to better control and better use your respiratory system in whatever sporting or physical effort context you might be or want to perform in. So that's the idea of the program. And I really think that there's huge value in better controlling one's respiratory mechanics. I think just moving better in terms of breathing is just like any type of movement. If you can move more efficiently, if you can access a wider range of motion, you're always going to be better off. Right? We talk about the importance of strength and mobility. They go together. You want to be strong in your squat all the way down. Well, you want to be able to access, you want to be able to fully contract your diaphragm, and then fully open that thoracic cavity. And you want to be able to fully exhale and relax the diaphragm, and then get as much air out as possible using other expiratory muscles, abdominals, intercostals, etc. So I think that just from a breath control standpoint, just have a better understanding of this. And then again, manipulating breathing in different settings during a warm-up, during a certain type of training session, whether it's low intensity, high intensity, including the Breathe Way Better in different mobility routines, all things we're going to explore in that 10-week program. And I think there's a lot there. There's a lot there because we don't usually talk about it, and we don't usually focus on it. And just spending a little bit of time focused on how we breathe, given how important it is, especially in an endurance context, but even in the strength context, I would argue that knowing how to contract your diaphragm, use your diaphragm properly in order to maximize that intra-abdominal pressure that you're going to, leverage to stabilize your spine in a heavy deadlift or in a heavy squat. Well, the diaphragm plays an important role there. And so why neglect it when we can actually train it? So I think that's an interesting concept, and that the research is pretty clear on the benefits of respiratory training for performance. I think they're even more important for me from a health standpoint. And just if you feel better just every day, just taking a normal breath, I think that's an important thing to strive towards, right? If we could apply a type of training that is going to help us just feel better on a day-to-day basis, we know that our, rating of perceived exertion is coupled to our respiratory frequency. How fast we breathe dictates how hard it feels, essentially. So why not learn to manipulate our breathing a little bit better, a little bit more intelligently, and a little bit more thoughtfully, especially, because that's going to make everything just more accessible and maybe things that felt hard in the past are going to start to feel just more controlled or less overwhelming, given that now we can control our respiratory system. So there's a lot of interesting things to do there. I've seen some tremendous results in respiratory training and the effect on heart rate at rest for people, dropping heart rate significantly, dropping heart rate on running without training running per se. I think the role of the diaphragm as a spinal stabilizer and a breathing muscle is interesting in that regard. And so if we can just use it better and make it work better, it can have a positive impact on those things. Running, especially given that we're upright, we have to stabilize our spine while we run. And then just better control in training settings, competition settings. I've seen all that as improvements with the athletes that have applied the training. So yeah, that's kind of what you can expect, and that's kind of what I've strived to do with that program. So I'll be releasing that video shortly. The program should be available tomorrow, if all goes well. And if you have any questions about the program, leave a comment below. I look forward to answering it. And if you have experience with respiratory training, good or bad, leave it below as well. There's other devices on the market, obviously. That's not the only one. That's just the one that I currently find the most interesting and applicable and easy to use. But there's definitely 1,000 ways of tackling breathing per se. So feel free to drop your 2 cents in the comments. Also, leave me some suggestions for future topics on those thought of the day videos. I don't have any on my list right now. So yeah, feel free to drop me a comment. Tell me what you'd like to hear about next. And looking forward to reading you. Take care and see you in the next thought of the day.